So I heard that you want to go. Well, I got you. Today, we're gonna talk about board breakers. We have a category for always good, very good, sometimes good, meh. So, you know, almost doggy. Dog water. An amazing job, Pedula. Pedula, I hope this time you're not trolling me when I'm trying to make YouTube videos. But let's see. So the first one is Book of Eclipse. I think Book of Eclipse is actually a very good board breaker against Kashtira and against Flanders. Sometimes good against, I guess, a Sprite, Force and Negation, you know. Okay. I'll say it's very good. Then we got Book of Lunar Eclipse. Book of Lunar Eclipse is a weird card. We got Book of Eclipse that basically does the same thing as Lunar Eclipse, but Lunar Eclipse has to target 2 monsters on the board and discards 1 card. I'm not a huge fan of this card, also because you have to discard the card for cost. The only downside is the fact that Book of Eclipse loses to Ash Blossom when Lunar Eclipse does not lose to Ash Blossom. I will put it as sometimes good. I actually don't like this card. I prefer way more to just lose to Ash Blossom using the Book of Eclipse. Book of Moon has the same application as Book of Eclipse, but Book of Eclipse is way better. So, but I would say that Book of Eclipse in the grind game is way worse than Book of Moon. I will just put Book of Moon as sometimes good as well. Then we got one of my favorite cards, Murmur of the Forest. Murmur of the Forest is a normal spell that was used maybe in 2005. It's actually a very old card with no reprints. I think it's very good for a specific reason. This card books a monster on the board and spin all the field spell on the field in hand. And it's also searchable with triple tactical tasking that nowadays it's called triple tactical trust, I guess. Just in order to not confuse them with triple tactical talent. Konami, I love your translations. Thank you. So, anyways, Murmur of the Forest deals with the barrier statue and also spin the field spell of Flanders. So it basically deals with 2 problematic cards. They have still the trap though, but at least on your normal summon they are not gonna, you know, trigger the field spell. It is good against Castira because you just book the Arisart, or you can just book the Shangri-Hira depending on the game state. I like this card. Like, I actually like this card. I would say it's sometimes good, but I actually love this card. Then we got the Swords. This card, basically, it's a continuous spell that books all the monsters on the board. It's actually good, but my main issue with this card is the fact that it's a continuous spell. And being a continuous spell is way more easy to deal than normal spell, and also is not searchable with trusting. So it is a kind of weird card in my opinion. It's not something that I would probably recommend right now. So this card is I might have to think about it. Sort of Concealing Light was cited before, but I don't see like the value of this card over Book of Eclipse. So I'm just gonna put it at meh right now. I'm not a huge fan of this card. I don't want to say it's very bad. This card, Sword of the Concealing Light, it's something that I wouldn't play, to be honest. But I can see people running this card. It's a budget option, I guess. I mean, how much does cost a Book of Eclipse? It's a meh card, like definitely not something that I would play. Mistake mine. So Pedula. I was so happy to not commentate Mystic Man for another format, and you just ruined my day. So amazing job. Amazing job. You did an amazing job. Seals ban. Okay, this card is a good card. But let's talk about why this card is good. So let me read you the text. Declare one card name. For the rest of the turn, your opponent cannot activate cards or effect of the cards with the same original name as the declared card. The same restriction apply to you, but for the rest of this duel instead of the rest of this turn. And you can only activate one copy per turn. Now, this card has multiple application. You can use it against Arisas, but obviously might not be that good, obviously. It's not that good because they still have the Macrocosmos effect. You can use it against Flanders. How do you use it against Flanders? You will know which name he has left in his hand. Like, for example, they are gonna end with a Robina banished and an Eaglen in hand. And you can just call Eaglen with that. You cannot use it on Barrier Statue because Barrier Statue has a continuous effect. This card is meh. Actually, no, it's dog. It's not something that I would play. Then we got, I guess, a new addition. A new addition is something that will come out very soon. It's called the Made to Order Mermaid Outfitter. For the guys that don't know the text of this card, is target one card in your opponent's graveyard. Banish it, then you can add one card from your deck to your hand with the same name as that banished card, and you can only activate one Made to Order Mermaid Outfitter per turn. Thank you, Konami, for this amazing name. I really appreciate the effort that you put in order to make me struggle by reading those text names. So, this card is not good right now, in my opinion. Might be very good in the future. It's something that, to be honest, we have to look out for the future. I think this card might be actually amazing in the future. I would keep this in my bander. So I'm gonna put it right now in meh. It's gonna be the top of meh. Why did I use this name? So I think this card in the future is gonna be super good. So I would keep an eye on that. Engraving. Engraving is, for the guys that don't know the text of this card, just don't read it. It's useless. So this card is very good against Steel Elements. So it has 3 different effects, but can only be used at the start of the main phase 1. That means that you cannot grab it with any pots. Basically, you have to hard open it. And it has the same application as Shifter, but Shifter is, in my opinion, worse than this card because you can use this card to avoid your opponent from banish cards from the graveyard. Yeah, in you as well, basically it applies to both the players, so you and your opponent cannot banish cards from the graveyard. You and your opponent cannot activate effects in the graveyard. And you and your opponent cannot summon monster from the graveyard. And it lasts for basically 2 turns. This card is amazing, but it's a side card. I wouldn't say it's always good, but I would put this card as very, very good, at least at the top. Rite of Arameshir. I believe that right now the Arameshir package is actually very valuable. It can be played only in very specific decks, like Sprite, for example, like Kashtira. It has some very cute applications. So I will put this as sometimes good. I actually like the Rite of Arameshir package right now, and I think it's very valuable in some decks, like, as I said, Sprite and the Kashtira deck. And also fixes the issue of Sprite to play around Baguska. And then we got a very... I would say it's a not known board breaker. This card is called Spiritual Entanglement. Talking about the text of this card, it says target one face-up monster your opponent controls, banish it until the end phase. It has some cute applications. You can banish the Barrier Statue, you can banish the Arise Art. Is it good against Flander? Definitely not if they play double Barrier Statues, so... It's not that amazing, but it's a normal spell and you can search it with tasking as well. Doesn't seem so bad, but it's meh right now. At least over concealing. Then we got Final Destiny, if I remember correctly. You discard 5 cards from your hand and you destroy all the cards. Field. Why did you do that? I have no words. I'm speechless right now. Lightning Vortex. Yeah, Lightning Vortex. Raigeki. Dog Water. Dark Hole. Dog Water. Let me explain you why. So, if you are playing against the Kashtira deck, they have a very easy way to play around it, especially post side. But it's not only that, they also have an out in the main deck. Against the pure Kashtira deck, they have in the extra deck a card that's called Infinity Track Goliath. Now, Infinity Track Goliath is a card that it's an extra monster that's used in Infinity Track. It's a link one. They banish it with Prosperity because they have like 2 or 3 spots in the extra deck that are basically just fodder for Prosperity. But this card has an additional effect. So basically, you attach it with a Rise Art, and when it's attached as an Exist material, the monster that has this card as material cannot be destroyed by card effects. So that makes Raigeki and Dark Hole basically useless against the Kashtira deck. And you could argue against Flander, but again, I think Flander right now should run double barrier statue. And if they are running double barrier statue, any board breaker, it's kinda useless. Like cards like Dark Ruler, Dark Hole, Raigeki, those are kinda meh. Storm. I mean, the card is very powerful, but it's meh right now. It's something that I wouldn't even take in consideration. But also the versatility of this card, I would still put it as a meh option. Like something that's not good enough to be played. Featherstorm, same reason. I mean, if you are not expecting to play against Labyrinth, I guess. Is that Giant Runade actually? Could be... Is it Runade? 8 Runade. It's 8 Runade. This card is called 8 Runade. Yeah, it's even worse. Because it returns all that spell and traps on the field to the end. Pedu, you are amazing. Dark Ruler, same reason. Again, you are using this... this card is actually not bad against Kashtira. And it's good against the Sprite. So I will put this actually at the top of sometimes good. Because it's good against the Sprite. It's good against Kashtira if you hard open it. It is, I guess, very okay-ish against Flander. But again, if they have double barrier statue, this card is gonna be useless. Droplet, I actually believe that this card right now, it's meh. It doesn't actually work. And also, there are so many decks that are running Shifter in the side deck. This card is definitely not it. Triple Tactical Talent. Triple Tactical Talent, in my opinion, against Kashtira is very good. Because the effect of a Rise Art is mandatory. Against Flander, it's not good. Against Sprites, it's okay. So I will put this card as a sometimes good. I rather prefer having actually... It might be better than the Ride Over a Magic package because of Tier Elements being the top tier meta, and then they might mill 5 from your deck. And if you're running the Ride Over a Magic, then it's that. Change of Heart, in my opinion, is better than Triple Tactical Talent. Then we got Mind Control, in my opinion, it's basically the worst one of the 3. Then we got Ultimate Slayer. Ultimate Slayer right now, it's kinda meh. Again, like you're playing against a Shifter deck, so it's not gonna be good most of the time. Doesn't seem so good in my opinion right now, and I don't see a lot of options for this card. I'll actually put it at the bottom right now. Evenly, in my opinion, is always good. Evenly is always good. It's... Okay, you guys have to understand that why do I put Evenly as an always good card? Is because you don't... Like, obviously, to deal with the tier elements, you don't need one board breaker. You need 2 board breakers in order to deal with an end board of a tier 0 meta deck. But the amazing thing about this card is you actually want to open it with another board breaker in order to clear your opponent board. Like this card if you are taking a board breaker approach, this card is the first card that you have to have in hand in order to clear a tier element board, in order to clear a Flander board, in order to... in my opinion, it's an amazing card, and it's actually the best board breaker right now if you want to take a board breaker approach. Trust. This card is amazing. This card can literally access your entire deck, so basically you can run a board breaker as one-off because are very bad to draw when you go first. So basically now you can take a board breaker approach, but you can still go first. And also you can set normal trap cards if your opponent just activates a card and then trap like Ash Blossom, Baylor, stuff like that. If your opponent uses Bestials against you, and if you're playing a meta deck like Tier Elements, you can add Instant Fusion, Terraforming, Triple Tactical Talent if you play it as a one-off copy. So, going second, you can also add Evenly Match. I think this card is amazing. I actually think this card is amazing. Enemy Controller. Enemy Controller, I also think this card is very good, but it's a very specific card that you can also run in very specific decks. So I'm gonna put it as, I guess, over Change of Heart because it's a quick spell. I like this card a lot. Poly, Super Poly is a very good card in my opinion. There is no doubt about that. And actually, I just changed my mind. I kinda wanna put Talent and Change of Heart as very good card. I think that was a mistake on my part. Those cards are actually very good cards anyways. But Evil is the one that you need to have in hand in order to clear your opponent board. Dark Ruler, I think it's still sometimes good. But I think, yeah. Super Poly, I think it's a very good card. No doubts about that. It's okay against Tier Elements. It's okay against Kashtira. Obviously depends if your opponent knows how to play the game or not. This card might be actually very good. Against Tier Elements, they might have Rulkaros Dweller. Against Kashtira, they might have Diablosis and Arisart. And they bought Summon in those scenarios. Rulkaros. They bought Summon in those scenarios. Exis and Core. Edu. Then we got Alpha. Alpha is Dog Water. Not even talking about that. Fenrir is meh. It's actually the worst one right now. You might say, okay, Nash, but like, what do you think about Kashtira? Like, this card banished the face-up card on the board. Like, it's the body. It's like, doesn't do a lot. Doesn't do a lot. We might put it as a sometimes good. This might be actually something that we might take in consideration. But right now I don't feel confident. I think Fenrir is actually the worst name. Maybe we can put it as sometimes good, but I don't feel confident. I feel like this is actually the worst name. You want to open Unicorn. You don't want to open with Fenrir. Fenrir doesn't do a lot alone. Can threat something. It might be actually one of the best ones to board breaker, like against, like... I have to think about that. I already did a mistake with Change of Heart and Talent. I don't want to do the same thing with Fenrir and then I have to change my mind. Probably bottom, sometimes good. Pancratops. I mean, you know the meta is fucked up when you have to put Pancratops as Dog Water. Lava Golem. Lava Golem is very good. Like, it's a very good board breaker card. Sphere Mode, the same thing. The only issue about Sphere Mode and Lava Golem is the fact that when you use, like, your opponent can play around Sphere Mode by leaving 2 monsters on the board. They cannot play around Lava Golem because it's very hard to just stand on a monster on the board. And even if your opponent starts committing plays to stop your plays, then he has to put 2 monsters on the board. So the balls don't work every time. Sorry, chill. And Lava Golem is way more valuable in specific spots, and it's not once per turn when you can only use Sphere Mode once per turn because it's a normal summon when Lava Golem is a special summon. Kurikara. Kurikara is the very bottom of very good. I don't like this card personally. I think that using a board breaker is using a board breaker is baiting interaction with just one card activation. Like for example, Super Poly preventing a Dweller and stuff. Kurikara is not even, in my opinion, a card that can be defined as a board breaker, because your opponent has to do stuff in order to this card to be good. It has to do multiple interaction in order to this card to be good. Then we got Santa Clown, Dogwater, Kaiju. My opinion, the same reason, but those are like the God Arla is a little bit better. It can be used against Kashtira, it can be used against Flander, but again, if they have double barrier statue, they don't work. I'm gonna put it at the very bottom of me. This card is useless. And then we got True Name. Let me read you guys the text of True Name, because you might actually love it, but you need to be very skilled in order to use this card. Declare one card name, excavate the top card of your deck, and if it's the declared card, add it to your hand. Then you can add to your hand or special summon one divine monster from your deck, otherwise send it to the graveyard. You can only activate one the True Name per turn. So basically, if you declare a card name and the card that you are declaring is on top of your deck, because for some weird and magic reason it's gonna be on top of your deck, you can add a Sphere Mode to your hand. So if you're a magician, this card is gonna be always very good. I hope you appreciate this tier list, and see you next time. Okay, chat. Now I will tell you the plans for today. So basically, I made a 2 tier list. I made a tier list for board breakers. I made a tier list for entraps. I hope Konami doesn't ban me for mentioning True Name. And I mean, I thought it was funny, to be honest. Nothing implied, you see. I mean, who would be so brave to play this card? Imagine. Bro, if my opponent activates True Name, you know for a fucking fact I'm gonna shuffle your deck 30 times. And I'm gonna go judge on your ass. Imagine.